and freedom itself. You do not experience passion or dispassion. Why then do you torment yourself by desiring objects of lust? So when identification is with the truth, with the essence, with the Atma, Kamanai, the desires are not in the Atma. Where are they? The desires, as we learned last week in our Wednesday's class, desires are in our senses and they enter into the mind. They are not in the Atma. Okay? The seat of the desire, the senses, not the Atma. Okay? So that's where we ended our class. So let's look at number 20 today. Vadanti Shrutyah Sarvaha Nirgunam Shuddham Avyam Ashariram Samam Tattvam Tatmam Vidhi Na Sanshaya. Vadanti. Vadanti means they say, like describe. Vadanti. Shrutya, scriptures, Shrutis. I'm sure all of you are familiar with this term, Shruti and Samriti. So Shruti, the primary scriptures. How many Shrutis we have? Some people say 4, some people say 5. They say even Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Mahabharata, is a Shruti too, because Lord Krishna is speaking that. So that's called a 5th Shruti. Okay, and the 4 Vedas. Sarva, all, Nirgunam, free from qualities, Nirguna. And what kind of a qualities we are talking about? Satvikta, Rajsikta, Tamsikta. Okay. Shuddham, pure. Avyam, indestructible. Avyam. Ashariram, free from body. Samam, same. Tattvam, substance, essence. Tat means that. Mam means to me. Vidhi, no. No means not, and sanshya means doubt. So all the Shrutis, the Vedas, the Upanishads, they declare that Brahma, the supreme reality, is without attributes, without guns. It's pure, immutable, bodiless, and pervading everything equally. Samam. Everything equally. It's not that Brahm is big here and small there. Equally present everywhere. Know that I am that Brahm. This is our sadhana. Know that I am that Brahm. And then at the end, very assertive declaration over here, he says, do not doubt this. Vidhina sanshaya. Do not doubt it. Because doubts come in the intellect. Maybe it's right. Maybe it's just written. He says, no, do not doubt this. Okay. This kind of assertion is given by Lord Krishna also in the Bhagavad Gita several times. Don't doubt. Doubts are the big obstacles for a sadhak. Doubt. And why do we go to the Guru? To remove the doubts. With the help of the knowledge, with the help of the light, with the help of the experience also, all the doubts get removed. That is the job of a Guru. He removes the doubts. Sakaram, anritam, vidhi, nirakaram, nirantaram. Etat tattva upadeshena na punaha bhav sambhava. Sakaram. See, akar. Akar means a form. So sakar means with a form. Anritam. See, anrit is opposite of amrit. Anrit is false, illusory. That's anarit. Vidhi means no. Nirakar. That's without a form. So sakar and nirakar. So nirakaram, that's called bodiless also. That could be a subtle thing also, nirakar. Nirantaram, eternal, perpetual. Etat, of this. Tattva, essence. Truth, reality, tattva. Upadeshen, through the teachings. Na means not. Punha, again. Bhav, birth. Sambhava, rebirth. Know this, that which has form is unreal. Why? Because it's limited by its form. So know this, that which has form is unreal. That which is formless is eternal. He who exemplifies this truth in his own life will no longer be subject to rebirth. So that means that we have to, these kind of teachings, we have to experience. It's not just to memorize, not just to read about. And a rebirth. Rebirth is, see, we on one hand, we want immortality. We want to move towards the Amrit, the mantra which we just recited before the class. Astoma Satgamya. Satgamya. Right? And Tamsoma Jyotirgamya. Mrityurma Amritam Gamya. I don't want to come here again and again. I want to reach that immortal place. So he says, if a person wants to stop this death, he will have to stop the birth. Otherwise, anybody who's born will definitely die. Birth and death are the reverse and the observe of the same coin, or the two sides of the same coin, birth and death. And that's why these seers, they suggest that a man can transcend birth and death by realizing the immortal Atma. So if we want immortality, we have to recognize we are the Atma. We have to detach from what is not mortal or what is mortal. Attach with the immortal and detach from the mortal. That's the sadhana we have to do. There is an Upanishad which is called Katha Upanishad, which says, he who has understanding, who has control over his mind, and is ever pure, reaches that goal. And what is this goal? From which he is not born again. So he has attained that immortality, that amritam. Okay. So the whole sadhana is with the sadhana of the mind. We understand with the help of the mind. Okay. So sakaram, anritam, vidhi, nirakaram, nirantram. Remember that. Then number 22, ekamev samam tattvam vadanti hi vipashchitah rag tyagyat punhachitam ek anekam na vidyate. Ekam, one, ev, only. Samam, same. Tattvam, supreme reality. Vadanti, they say. He means therefore. I know some of you are writing the meanings of this. That's why I'm trying to go a little slow, but if I'm going fast, just let me know. Raise your hand, I'll go even slower than this. Vipaschitaha, wise. Rag means attachment. Tyag, tyagat, through renunciation. Punha, again. Chittam is the mind. Ek is again oneness. Anek, many. Ek, anek. Anek, that means many, not one. Sanskrit is a very scientific language actually. If you know the basics, this is all very clear. Again, na means not, vidyate, exists. The sages say, the wise people say, vipaschita, those people, that the reality is one and unchanging also. When craving is renounced, unity and diversity cease to exist in the mind. Because unity and diversity is only because if you see many. If you see only one, it has vanished. And craving, what is a craving? According to the Vedic philosophy, the whole world is nothing but a projection of the mind. Projection of the mind. So cessation of desire, dissolution of the mind, and what happens? Illumination occurs instantly. So desires, the cravings, the supriha, that is the one which just keeps our mind agitated. That's why we learned the very first enemy is calm, desires. This enemy we have to conquer. Rag, tyagat, punha chitam, ek anekam na vidyate. Very direct philosophy. No two ways about it. But work we have to do. No matter how beautifully or how simply or how complicated it's written, we got to do the work after understanding it all. Okay? Anatma rupam cha samadhi, atma savarupam cha katham samadhi, asti hi iti na asti iti katham samadhi, moksha savarupam yadi sarvam ekam. Anatma, not self. See, two words, atma and anatma. Atma is the self, anatma is not self. So in our own personality over here, there's a atma, everything else is anatma. And the problem is that we have been running after the anatma, ignoring the atma. So anatma, not self. Rupam, form or nature. Cha means and, samadhi, deep absorption. Atma, self, Svarupam, true nature, Svarup, true nature. Cha means and, Katham means how. Again, the word samadhi. Asti, it is. Iti, thus. Na, not. Again, asti means is. Katham, how. Samadhi, moksha, liberation. Svarupam, true nature. Yadi means if, Sarvam means all, Ekam means one. How can a person attain samadhi as long as he thinks of himself as something other than the Atma? Okay? If we don't know, if we don't detach from the anatma, there cannot be a samadhi. Sure, you can meditate, you can concentrate, but to reach samadhi, you got to detach from the anatma. But on the other hand, he says, samadhi is not possible for a person who thinks of himself as the Atma. There's a contradiction over here. Because once you are in a state of samadhi, there's no thinking. You have transcended the mind. Yeah, the thinking part, which is anatma, has been dropped down. So in that sense, he is saying it. And we saw that in the previous scripture, Avadhuta Gita also, the similar kind of statements were made. How can samadhi be attained as long as a man thinks that the Atma exists and yet does not exist? So if there's a doubt going on, if there's a contemplation is happening, am I Atma or Anatma? And what need is there to attain samadhi if all are one and by nature free? Okay, so you are perpetually in the state of oneness. In our Patanjali Sutras, we learn Savikalap Samadhi, Nirvikalap Samadhi. We learned that this Samadhi state is of two kinds. Nirvikalap Samadhi, the knower, knowledge, knowable, there's a unification. They have become unified. But this does not occur in Savikalap Samadhi because Vikalaps are still there. And where the Vikalaps are coming from? The mind. So Nirvikalap, there is an above the mind. So over here, the Dattatreya, he means to say that being the Atma, it is illogical to think that one would have to practice a samadhi. So anybody who says I'm practicing samadhi, by definition, that's wrong. Practice means you are making an effort. As long as you are making an effort, you are still at a lower stage. Either concentration or meditation, or even in the samadhis, the lower stages of samadhi, just like I said, Savikalap. That complete merger has not happened. I have to take this call. Just 1 second. Sorry about that. Everything is fine though. Okay. So So Savikalap and Nirvikalap, just remember that. Okay. So we have to keep on practicing. Keep on practicing. Okay. Maybe here and there you had a glimpse that you are the Atma. And you think, I don't need to practice anymore. That's not true. Practice needs to be done as long as we are here. Okay. Vishuddha asi samam tattvam videha tvam aja avyah janami ihi na janami iti atmanam manyase katham. Vishuddha, special, pure. It's like a special kind of a purity. It's called Vishuddha. Asi means you are. Samam, one. Tattvam, reality, essence. Videha, bodiless. Tvam means you. Aja, free from birth. See, ja means when something is born. Aj means free from birth. Whenever there's a in front of a word in Sanskrit, that means opposite of that. Okay? So aja, free from birth. Avyaha, immutable. Janami, I know. Iti means thus or in this way. Atmanam, to the self. Manya, say you think. Katham, how. You are the ever pure and unchanging reality. Ever pure. There's no blemishes on the Atma. By definition, Atma cannot have any blemish. And it cannot be small or big, old or young. That's why he said unchanging, stays the same. So you are the ever pure and unchanging reality. You are bodiless. There's no form. So if there's no form, you are birthless also. And imperishable. I know the Atma or I don't know. Why do you think in such terms? Okay, so these kind of statements rise above them. Let's do one more verse and then we'll stop the class here today. Tatatvam asi adi vakyen swa atma hi pratipaditaha neti neti shruti bruyat anritam panch bhautikam. Tat means you. Tvam means are. Asi means that. Okay. Adi vakyen. Adi means other also, like etc. So what he is referring over here, the four great sentences from the four Vedas. Because there are four Mahavakya. The first one is Tatutvam Asi. Swa Atma, on self. He means therefore Pratipadita, stated. Neti, neti, not this, not this. Neti means na iti. Not this, not this. Shruti, Veda, Bruyat would say, Anritam, illusory. Panch, composed of five. Bhautikam, elements. Panchabhut, that's what it means. The Atma, the true nature of being, has been established by the great Vedic dictums such as thou art that, etc. The body consisting of five elements is unreal. This has been declared by the Upanishads, saying Not this, not this. See, not this is a process of elimination or negation. Because Atma cannot be described in a positive way. So that's why they are using this technique. So the self is that which has been described as neti, neti. It is imperceptible. It is never perceived. It's undecaying. Because it never decays. It's unattached. Because it's never attached. It never feels pain and never suffers injury. According to the Brihad Aryanak Upanishad. If you are a deep thinker, if you really like to study, this is a really great scripture to study, Brihad Aryanaka. And what are these? What are the other sentences or the Mahavakyas? So this first one, there is from a Rig Veda, the first one comes. That is Rig Veda, but Aitriya Upanishad. See, all these Upanishads, 108 Upanishads, they are part of the 4 Vedas. So Rig Veda, in Rig Veda, Aitriya Upanishad says Pragyanam Brahm. So that is consciousness is Brahm. Consciousness over here means the Atma is Brahm. Pragyanam Brahm. And the second Mahavakya is Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahm. I means that self. And this is in a Yajurveda, Brihad Aryanak Upanishad. Okay, if you want to know the source of it. So each Ved has one saying. So Rig Veda says Pragyanam Brahm. Yajurveda say Aham Brahmasmi. And the one he mentions in this one, Tat Tvam Asi, that is from Samved. And Chandogya Upanishad. Tat Tvam Asi, thou art that. And the fourth Mahavakya is Ayam Atma Brahma. The Atma is a Brahma, and that is from Atharva Veda. And what is the name of the Upanishad? Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, so I'm just giving you the source of all these Mahavakyas. So we'll start next week's class from verse number 26. And today is Shivratri. So Mahashivratri, they call it. Okay. So in this class, the rest of the time, we are going to spend on singing the Shiva bhajans. So anybody who wants to sing, just let me know. But before you start that, let me just end this class with our Purnamada mantra. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om. So if anybody has any